Have you ever wondered if there's secret money out there, literally just sitting in a vault with your name on it? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking into something that honestly sounds like the plot of a treasure hunt movie, but finding a forgotten bank account is a very real occurrence. We're going to find out exactly how to uncover hidden financial assets, looking specifically at the state of Ohio. Let's jump right in.
$4 billion. That is just a staggering amount of wealth. And right now, it's currently being held by the Ohio Department of Commerce. Now, this isn't state tax revenue we're talking about. This is money that belongs to everyday citizens, local businesses, and organizations who have simply lost track of it. You really have to ask yourself, how does such a massive fortune just get left behind?
Which brings us to the absolute most important question we'll cover today. Does some of this missing money actually belong to you? Well, statistically speaking, it's highly likely. Across the country, 1 in 7 Americans has unclaimed property. If you've ever moved, changed jobs, or had a relative pass away, you could easily be part of that statistic. So we need to figure out how to check your status, and if you do have a match, how to get that cash back into your wallet where it belongs.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our syllabus for today. We'll be covering the unclaimed money problem, Ohio's strict 10-year deadline, how to search for your funds, submitting a claim, avoiding those pesky scams, and finally, processing times.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the unclaimed money problem.
You see, by law, businesses cannot just keep your money if you happen to forget about it. If an asset remains completely dormant for a specific statutory period, usually around 1 to 5 years depending on the type of asset, it's legally considered unclaimed and must be turned over to the state for safekeeping. And this is incredibly common. 14% of the population, again that's 1 in 7 people, has unclaimed funds compared to the 86% who don't. And look, this isn't just a rare edge case for folks who are disorganized. Even highly meticulous individuals can end up with unclaimed funds. It happens when companies merge, when people move and just forget to update a mailing address, or when someone simply outlives their family members and inherits assets they literally never knew existed.
So where exactly does this money come from? Well, we're talking about inactive checking and savings accounts, uncashed payroll checks or vendor payments, life insurance proceeds, and stock dividends. Just imagine moving out of your very first apartment and totally forgetting to grab your $200 utility deposit back. That money doesn't just evaporate. The business holding it is legally required to report it to the Ohio Division of Unclaimed Funds. If they don't, it's essentially viewed as theft.
Moving right along, let's dive into Section 2, Ohio's 10-year deadline.
Now, for a really long time, the state of Ohio acted as a perpetual custodian for all this money, but that recently changed with House Bill 96. This piece of legislation limits the time an original owner has to claim their funds to a strict 10-year window. Previously, you could theoretically claim a forgotten bank account 30 or even 40 years down the line. Now, that window is decisively capped. If you miss this deadline, your legal ownership of the property is completely terminated.
And this brilliantly illustrates the shift. Under the old rule, funds were held indefinitely in trust for the rightful owner. It was a purely custodial relationship. But under the new rule, funds permanently escheat to the state after 10 years. Escheatment is just a legal term meaning the property permanently divests from the original owner and transfers entirely to the state of Ohio. For example, if funds were reported on or before January 1, 2016, they absolutely must be claimed by January 1, 2026.
So what happens to the money once it permanently escheats? Well, after that 10-year mark, the funds shift over to the Ohio Cultural and Sports Facility Performance Grant Fund. This fund is used to finance major public infrastructure and stadium development projects across the state. Basically, this means that if you don't claim your dormant assets in time, your forgotten savings account might literally be reallocated to help pay for a brand new sports stadium.
Let's get into the actionable part of our explainer with Section 3, searching for forgotten funds. Since we know the clock is ticking, let's look at a really systematic approach to tracking this down. Step 1. Check your personal records. Start digging through your filing cabinets for old checkbooks, past bank statements, and tax forms. Moving forward, keeping a long-term digital or physical record of all your financial institutions is a fantastic habit to prevent future losses. Step 2. Query the official state database over at unclaimedfunds.ohio.gov. Step 3. Because people move around so much, you absolutely must check missingmoney.com, which acts as this incredible multi-state database. And hey, as a quick bonus tip, if you think your bank might have failed or shut down, you should definitely check federal registries like the FDIC for banks or the NCUA for credit unions. Now, when you're typing your information into these databases, you got to be a little clever. Don't just search your current legal name. You need to search maiden names, former married names, and even variations with initials like J. Smith. Also, be sure to search for your business name if you happen to own one. And finally, with their permission, or if they've passed away, search for your parents and grandparents. Inherited assets from deceased relatives are incredibly common, mostly because dormant assets can be reported years after an owner's death.
Next up is Section 4, submitting a successful claim. Finding a match is super exciting, right? But you still have to legally prove ownership before the state will actually cut you a check. Every single living claimant has to provide a standard set of mandatory documents. You'll need a personal ID, like an unexpired driver's license or a passport. You also need proof of address connecting you to the reported address on file. This could be an old utility bill or maybe a bank statement. And lastly, you need a tax ID, which usually means providing a social security card, a W-2, or a 1099 form.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the process looks a bit different if you're claiming money on behalf of a deceased relative as an heir. You're going to need all the standard documents we just talked about, plus additional heir documentation. This includes the decedent's death certificate, proof of authority to claim on behalf of the estate, like a probate court entry dated within 2 years, and Probate Form 1.0, which formally identifies heirs and legatees. In some cases, if an estate has already been closed out, you might even need to reopen it just to process these newly discovered assets.
Let's shift gears to a crucial warning in Section 5, avoiding scams and fees. Look, whenever there are billions of dollars sitting around, bad actors will inevitably try to take advantage of the situation. But please remember this. Searching the Ohio Division of Unclaimed Funds database and submitting a claim is completely 100% free. You absolutely do not have to pay upfront fees to use the official government portals. So if you ever receive a very official-looking letter demanding an upfront payment to release your funds, be extremely cautious.
Now, to be fair, there are legitimate professional finders who specialize in reconstructing documentation and helping people build complex claims, which honestly can be super helpful for difficult estate cases. However, Ohio law strictly caps their fee. A third-party company can charge no more than a maximum of 10% of the total amount claimed. If a company's out there asking for a 30 or 40% cut, they are flat-out violating state regulations.
Furthermore, any professional finder assisting you for a fee must be legally registered with the Ohio Department of Commerce. Do not just take their word for it. You can, and definitely should, verify their registration by calling the Division of Unclaimed Funds directly. Working directly with the state is always an option, and it avoids fees entirely. But if you do decide to use a finder, verify them first.
Finally, let's wrap up the roadmap in Section 6, processing times and persistence. Okay, so you've submitted the claim. How long until the money actually arrives? Well, after submission, the claims team at the state performs an initial review within a 120-day window. This is a very thorough process because they have to carefully verify identities and prevent fraud. So, patience is definitely key here. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can always track your claim status online using the state's Claims Status Lookup tool.
After that 100-day review, your claim is going to fall into one of 3 buckets. Approved means the claim is verified and you get your principal plus any accrued interest. Awesome. Denied means the claim was rejected because the criteria just weren't met. But the most important one to watch for is returned. This just means they're requesting a little more documentation, perhaps better lineage proof for an heir claim. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is be persistent. Keep your records perfectly organized and provide exactly what they ask for.
I want to leave you with a provocative thought today. What if there is a literal life-changing amount of money sitting in a state vault right now with your name on it, and that 10-year clock is just ticking away? Please do note our professional disclaimer on screen. While we've laid out the roadmap today, you should always verify all details and processes through official Ohio channels. And for complex estate matters, definitely consult a financial advisor or an attorney. But whatever you do, please take 5 minutes today to just go search your name. Don't let your forgotten funds become someone else's stadium. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy hunting!